Hello everyone, Bardic Nerd here, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Millennia. We are playing Great Britain here. We have skipped a session here because the previous one just nothing really interesting at all happens. Nothing of particular note happens that isn't very easy to summarize. Um. There was just not enough material in there that was interesting to talk about, and it would have been interesting to watch. This one is not, the most gripping, but there is more significance to the game that happens in this one. We had just spent the previous one just building up the army, just slowly building up economy. There was no exploration. There was no combat. There was well, yeah, they killed a couple barbarians. Um, there was nothing of note. We didn't do any important research. I think we researched the technology reason. Um, yeah. And so I decided that it would be better to just skip to this one, which gets us a bit closer to the start of when things get actually interesting. So it's still in the build-up phase. We are building up because I made the decision to go into the Age of Revolution before making the attack on Nigeria, so that I would have my full forces to combat any revolution during the Age of Revolution, because there is always a revolution that happens during the Age of Revolution. I think there can be more than one revolution that happens during the Age of Revolution if you do not control your unrest. But unrest is usually reasonably easy to control, so um, it's basically just the one revolution in the Age of Revolution. And I figure that revolution will also potentially weaken Nigeria, so it'll be a better time to make my attack. It just means waiting a bit. And of course, then I'll have more forces, so I can even more overwhelm them. Um, anyways, so that's what we were doing. So here's the other nations. Apparently, Nigeria, uh, we were thinking about declaring war now, but we don't. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I'll wait till the Age of Revolutions to actually declare war. Um, yeah, so I just think about it now, but I end up not doing it. Um, so let's all wait around. I think I might actually build more units to go to join these ships before I launch the attack, just to show how super prepared I get. And I build another navy to go kill all those barbarians up there. Just, perhaps a bit more useful of me to do. But, yeah, I do over-prepare for this war a bit. I need to get myself to not do that as much in the future. There's, certainly over-preparing for stuff does mean you're well prepared for it. Which, there are benefits to that. But it means you don't do stuff as quickly as you should. So, there's uh, not as flexible as I should be, perhaps, in not as aggressive as is sometimes useful. But the economy that I focus on does result in me being eventually overall more powerful, usually. But I could stand to do with some improvements in my strategy. All right. Let's see what happened next of interest. All right, so here we're just we had a bunch of improvement plans, so we're building up stuff in our cities. Just I'm taking my usual sweet time on deciding what to actually make. So it's taking a bit of time, and Presumably was talking about the relative merits of the different stuff in the original recording. But sadly that is all lost. So it's just me being indecisive about what to actually build here. And looking at the stuff that the city produces on the certain supply chains we can build. But without the original commentary, it's a little bit less interesting to see that. Because commentating on all that after the fact when I don't have my original thoughts is a little bit more difficult, unfortunately. So, what are we currently doing here? Yeah, we have all this exploration XP and not much to do with it, unfortunately. Um, we have completed research into society. Um, a useful tech. I think now we go into now we start researching Age of Revolution, which I believe will take us um, 8 or 9 turns, something like that. Um, oh, we might grab some of these old techs first we hadn't gotten. We might decide that they're not very useful and just ignore them. But no, it looks like we're getting smelting. I think we're gonna ignore construction, but I'm not sure. Construction is sadly one that is not usually the most important thing that you can get when it comes up, unless you really need defenses. Construction is just, I mean, the catapult is also useful if you're going in a war against someone that has a lot of heavy defenses. But if you neither need strong defenses nor need to defeat strong defenses, construction isn't a very useful tech when it comes up, and it becomes obsolete before too long. So usually I end up never researching construction, which is kind of weird. It is one side effect of the way techs work in this is that sometimes, you just never end up researching some of the techs that you'd think you would research um, in a traditional tech tree game. Though, I like the way the techs work in this game. I think it's pretty cool. But there's some weirdness that way. We're building up a navy in Manchester, to take out barbarians. Mostly bomb vessels. Those are generally one of the more powerful ships at this time period. Man of War is also nice. Um, let's have the option to build the Scorpion boat and the Galleon, neither of which is the Nar is exploration ship from earlier that just doesn't go obsolete for a bit. And its big thing is that it can spawn explorers. The other ships, Scorpion ship and the Galleon, um, they're not really usually gonna be very useful compared to the other ships that you can build, unfortunately. Um, the Galleon is a ship that you can get via the Empire government, but it doesn't really fill any niche that isn't already filled, as far as I can tell. So, oh well. Right. Let's see. What do we might just claim some territories, but I don't know what we do with this. But what do we do with this? Hmm. Spawn a ship. Yeah, something I could do with it, actually. Um, yeah, spawn a man of war with it right there. So, um, but all right, we're gonna wait until we have something of a little bit more interest happening. Or let's see what we actually do with this culture power. I might do a Eureka to instantly research the tech smelting. Um, is that indeed what I do? Well, I'll find out in a moment, apparently. Because I'm looking at all the different other things I can do with it first, and then I decide to do something else. Um, yeah, sometimes I take a while to figure out what I'm gonna do, I suppose. Um, and, 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 is it that? Yes, 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 it is that. Okay, I could, which instantly gets me smelting. Um, oh, I do decide to do construction for some reason. I think just for completionist reasons. I think, but I'm not sure. I suppose that's fair enough. Um, okay, and then I end the turn. Well, we'll pick up. Well, we'll see. Next turn. Next turn, presumably, I will do the research for into Age of Revolution, presumably. Presumably, we'll see. Um, oh, I got an innovation, masonry. Yes. Means my bricks will be so good. I think I said arts XP from bricks. Which is nice. Okay, now I start researching Age of Revolution. All right, great. All right, now that's done. I am trying to create some road network over here. I know. Um, but I need to get the engineering XP to create the pioneers. So I'm waiting on things to do that. Uh, now I'm just sending that down to there. Just hang out there and protect. Not really protect there, mostly to stay there for as a place to wait. Um, so that they can then strike at Nigeria when the time comes for that. All right. Um, anything else of interest happening? Mostly not. Mostly not. Oh, I do. Am I like just raising some troops to protect places? I might be doing that. Yeah, okay. I'm probably creating some troops just to have them as protection troops. Um, which is a reasonable thing to do. Reasonable thing to do. Uh, these, that guy is just going down. That's a interesting scout unit that you can get during the age of discovery. Um, can create can spawn a really fast unit that treats like that moves very quickly over any terrain. Um, but that only lasts one turn, so it's like sending up like so it like allows you to do quick recon, um, which is interesting. It's interesting. Here we go. Spawning a pioneer, and that one we're not doing the road network. That one we're just sending over there to get the tea. I think it's tea and wine. Um, well, tea and grapes. The grapes can get turned into wine eventually. Right. And I don't have enough to make another pioneer, I don't think. So, you go in here. Just upgrading buildings as one does. All right. Um, Playing against the AI, guess you don't really often need the defensive buildings until like you're on Grandmaster level, the highest. Um, yeah, sadly the AI of this game is just not balanced in quite the most ideal way because uh yeah, it doesn't really present much of a challenge unless you're on the very highest difficulty level, and then it presents in some ways too much of a challenge too early on. Um, beta play too much of a challenge, but it is like very early on. You get the big challenge from the AI very early on with Grandmaster. They're very front loaded in the when they are challenged. So I think something that ramps up the challenge of the AI would be a better solution. Uh, or just an AI that does better naturally at the strategy of the game. But that's of course hard to code. So the easiest way to make an AI difficult is just to give it uh you know extra bonuses that it shouldn't have. Um, right. I'm getting explorers to defend down there. Um, right. Um, Anything of interest over here? Yeah, just creating some explorers as defensive units because they're, not terrible at that actually. And I keep things from being just instantly overrun at the very least. They also have good, vision, so you get advance notice of things coming. So, let's wait until something more interesting comes up. All right. Well, now I have the anti-barbarian fleet completed. So, send it off to kill barbarians. Um, let's see. Well, what am I doing here? Getting stuff close to being done, ready to um, launch the invasion. It's still going to be a little bit, but getting much closer. Getting much closer. Hmm. I built a public library during the Age of Enlightenment. Hey, yay for me. All right. Oh. And thinking about mods I want to make for this game. I want to make a mod that makes trade uh much more important and much more that makes trade more of a thing. Probably like increase, like maybe increasing the amount of import slots that you get from trade buildings, and also both increasing the amount of domestic export slots you get, and allowing you to split them up between different places. So you can export stuff to different places. So you can have, like, cities that are focused on resource extraction, cities that are focused on production of finished goods, um, as best suits uh, each location. I think that would be interesting, and more of the foreign import slots to make that more of a important thing, that um, you can get more resources that way, at a money cost, make which would then make money much more useful. If money can buy a lot more resources, then it'll become more useful. So that's because currently money is of some use, but not um I would like to see it be of a more important resource than it currently is, because it's like you acquire a lot more of it than you're uh generally speaking, you're gonna have a pretty high cash flow, um and just be able to occasionally spend it to rush stuff. um I think there would be approaches that could be more interesting than that. If you could be regularly spending it in more ways, I think that would be a good thing. So, we'll see. Uh, um, but yeah, there's some ideas that I have in that. Um, but we'll see. I'll make that at some point. I'll try, because they do have more support for mods now. And I do have some ideas for those. So we'll see what I can do with those. But I'll be in a few weeks probably. Although, probably, yeah, I might just wait until they have the next expansion out to see what they come up with and what tools they do for making it easier to make them. But, it depends when that's going to come out. Probably start experimenting before that. Right. Close to researching the Age of Revolution. Having these ships. We have this anti-barbarian fleet that's gonna go take out those barbarians there. Um, gonna There we go. We're getting some NARs that will go and join the fleets that I have arrayed against Nigeria's coastal cities, because those NARs would then be able to spawn explorers that can launch land attacks, because the ships cannot seize the coastal cities by themselves. They would need to spawn land units to do that. And they're actually not very helpful in taking the cities themselves because most of the damage they do doesn't actually persist. Uh, and so they can like weaken the cities a little bit for the land attack, but not by much actually. So yeah. Um, might be able to like knock the walls down, but I can't remember for sure. I'm not sure either of those places have walls though, so they're fairly undeveloped in many ways. But alright, let's see. Um, okay, yes, colonialism. I'm trying to get the amount of colonies needed to unlock the last ability. Uh, it's been a annoying thing. Not that it, like the last ability does anything particularly useful. It's just a social fabric point with for tolerance, which is damn useless. Uh, and it that's a good way to make tolerance more useful. Gives you 8 times the current age in gold. Yeah, that would be more useful than its current just 8 gold. Because that's just like nothing. Even by the time even just when you first unlock social fabric, that's already not at all significant. Um, but 8 times the current age, that would be a decent thing. Yeah, I mean it'd still be, and like age would be fairly minor, um, in some ways. But you know, would make it more useful. Right. And it gives like 1 diplomacy point per turn, and I don't really need that 1 diplomacy point. I already have a decent bit. Um, and I'm not really doing much with it anyways. So, alright, just building buildings here. Probably, yes, getting some defensive buildings, just in case they launch a counterattack. Not that they're gonna have much capability to do so. I should have done more, yeah, well, no, that's a vassal, so I can't choose the buildings there. Yeah, but, alright. Um, hmm, okay, um, yep, just here, I think I've gotten all the units I want, maybe. So, what do I do in Manchester with that? Okay, now I do have some space for these armies to get a little bit more units. I'm just deciding which unit to get for them. Because I have a balanced force, deciding what would be helpful to them to add. I can't remember what I decided. Probably decide on either another musket or another archer. Um, both would be, useful things to have. Like your basic range units and your basic line units are really the key units, and everything else is just a support unit in support of those, really. Um, your cavalry is it is certainly useful for doing more damage to the enemy. So it's very good to have some cavalry mixed in with your armies. And of course, having a leader is great. Um, having a siege unit can be nice, but it's not especially important. So siege unit is really the last unit I would add to an army, probably, once I have all its other basic needs taken care of. So an army would probably, ideally compose basic line, archer, leader, uh, archer, cavalry, basic line, and then a siege or something like that. Eh. Um, but it's variable as to what you want to do. And here we go. It looks like we are going into the age of revolution. Vive la revolution. Yes. We will get a rebel uprising at some point during this age. I think it comes like 8 turns into the age, generally speaking. Um, if you have a lot of unrest, that makes it worse. You might get more. So, yeah, and you can. This is the age when you can get planes. First, ha, ha, ha. Um, all right. What do I do? Oh yeah, we have some new abilities. I think we just do organization now, though, because that's really the big thing that one wants. Um, uh, all right. Let's see here. Yes. Um, okay, what am I getting first is the question. There's a bunch of useful choices in the Age of Revolution. Uh, um, hmm. Finally, in more modern times, Age of Revolution is like, eh, probably like, all the time period between like the start of the Victorian era to like the end of World War One or so would be probably maybe even sometime during the interwar period between World War One and World War Two. Um, is Age of Revolution. Age of Rocketry is kind of like starts at like just before World War Two, I'd say. So yeah, Age of Revolution is like from the start of the Victorian era to a little bit before World War Two. In tech. Um, so you are getting the modern tech in Age of Revolution. Um, so modern industries and such. I guess kind of like have the very precursors to that in Age of Enlightenment with like some of the very early Victorian tech in the Age of Enlightenment, but Age of Revolution is really the Industrial Revolution proper with the industry tech and applied science tech, and steel tech. Um, though the stuff you get from the steel tech is really more a bit mostly later. Victorian era, perhaps. But so I'm just deciding on text to research here because there's some really good ones. A lot of them are really nice. Uh, and of course, you can get our first planes. The aeronautics. That's it. They're super useful in my experience, actually. Um, it'd be nice if planes had a longer range and did a bit more damage to multiple units. Um, 'Cause, like they will soften up stuff, but I don't know. If I could hit multiple units, that would be more interesting. And they have a very limited range, so um, if there's a lot of distance between your bases, your cities, and enemy, when you have a fast-moving front, uh, planes just aren't terribly useful in this game. One of the things I might adjust in a mod, but we'll see. Uh, so I'm still deciding what I'm gonna research. I'm probably like looking at each tech individual, at what each one individually gives. Guess the window that I'm currently looking at is a bit small. It's hard to see exactly what all the details are to list them out for you, but you should be able to see a bit bigger on your screens when this goes to YouTube, though. So, you just won't have me telling you my thoughts on all of the stuff. I'd probably get militarization, though. That would make the most sense for me to get going into a conflict. Um, yes, that is what I get. Okay, great. That is in fact what I get. Right. Do anything useful here? I might just do tolerance with it, even though that's not very helpful, just because of something to do. All right. Um. All right. Looks like we are starting to reach the end of this. Um. So, we're just deciding on a few last things to build here. So I'm going to bid farewell until next session. We will come back then. But until then, take care.